Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's been programmed right into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, in our lives. Welcome to our show, and joining me is my life partner and wife, Minawang.
So, if you have been with us for a while, you would probably notice that we skipped the show last week. And that's because exactly a week ago, we just lost our cat Patches.
Mm-hmm.
And Patches has fulfilled his journey on this earth with us as our really loving cat. He gave us a lot of joy, and we still feel his presence. But that is the reason why we weren't here last week. It has never happened before. I hope it never happen again.
Exactly.
So on that note, everyone has a journey, right? We all have a journey. We're going somewhere. We're doing something. We have a purpose, and there's always defining moments in our lives that kind of shape your path to drive you down a certain path. Whether it might be your personal development, it could be your professional development. Sometimes actually emotional, and you grow through those challenges, right? You step over those obstacles, you overcome them, and those become your opportunities for growth, for resilience, for self discovery.
Exactly. And I think sometimes when you talk about the journey, we like to talk about the hero's journey, right? And how would you like to describe the hero's journey? The best description you think?
I mean, when we talk about hero's journey, I'm always want to talk about Luke Skywalker, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you take him away from his ordinary life and you turn him into a hero. But his journey, you have to learn, take him up new skills. You have to make allies. You have to face the enemies. He went through a whole lot of personal growth, right? So Luke Skywalker is like kind of my example for hero's journey.
Exactly. And when you have a hero's journey, you always have the guide, right? Someone to guide the hero, to help you through your challenges and to transform your life, right? Because when it comes down to heroes, the heroes are the heroes because they became the hero. They don't always start off as the hero, right?
Right.
And I find that a lot of us, we are the heroes in our life. We all have a purpose. We all have a purpose for our journey in whatever it may be. Like Minna says, maybe a personal purpose or professional, emotional, whatever it may be. And I think when it comes down to a journey, when we're looking for a journey, become our own hero, figure out what the purpose are, and a lot of times it's something that you really enjoy doing, right? I think that's what Jack Canfield was saying. Find something you really like to do and figure out how to make a living out of it, right? And then you're using your passion, your love for what you do to be your purpose, to be part of your journey, and then you're changing lives in that aspect.
So speaking about purpose, you have something you want to show us, right?
Yes. So, I'm part of, as I say, coaches need coaches, and I'm part of a group with one of the coaches, Aaron Lay, with Life on Track Coaching, and today's topic we're talking about journey and loss and stuff like that. And she was saying there's a book that she's saying that we should all read, and it's done by Napoleon Hill, right? And you're familiar with Napoleon Hill, like which book did Napoleon Hill?
Think and Grow Rich.
Yes, so Napoleon Hill is known for Think and Grow Rich, right? But he actually wrote another book, and it was, let me see, I just downloaded it actually, and it's called Outwitting the Devil. And this is like a biography where he is interviewing the devil, right?
Who is the devil?
No, the devil, which is the devil, right? And the book was never published because the wife says, well, there's a devil in it, people's not going to buy it and everything. So basically, it was passed on from generation to generation, and then eventually, it was annotated by Sharon Lecter, and then it was published, right? But the interesting thing about this is one of the people that the devil is always trying to influence are the people that are the drifters, the people that don't have purpose, that don't have a journey to go on, and that's when they sort of get lured away by the devil. So I was like, oh my God, that is crazy. We're talking about hero's journey, we're talking about purpose, and then I get introduced to the book, and it's required reading. So, Aaron, I just thought, oh, wherever it is, I just downloaded the book. I will start reading it today. But I thought that was so relevant. Is like, the devil is, he influences all what you're thinking, what you're doing. If you don't have your purpose, if you're drifting, so we never want to be drifting. We always want to have a purpose. We want to be charging towards a journey that we want to um, improve our lives upon, to change people's lives. And that's why this is part of the show. We're here to help you, guide you on this journey, to have guests that's going to show you their journeys and hopefully inspire you to start on your journey. And this week we have an amazing guest, right?
Yeah, I heard that she has an amazing journey that she's going to share with us today. I can't wait to hear it.
All I can say, it's a real life Indiana Jones from Raiders of the Lost
Oh,
Ark.
like Lara Croft.
Yeah, like Laura Croft. She's like a modern day Laura Croft, and we're talking about Templars and all this crazy stuff that movies are made out of. And she's gonna be sharing that with us. And when I was reading her bio and looking about a little bit of her movie, I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited to hear more about what Dr. Kathleen Ball is going to be talking about. And she's going to be sharing her story and what she found that has to do with the Templars in a little while, but we're going to be right back after this short break.
Hi, I'm Andy, and welcome back to this week's Chronically Healthy Life Biohack of the Week. And if you haven't guessed it, our topic this week is lemons, specifically organic lemons. And lemons, they are so easy to find, they are so versatile to use, and when you use them intentionally, they can support your health and your body from morning all the way through to night. Let's start with the morning. Starting in the morning, when you drink warm water mixed with a little bit of lemon, like half a lemon, it's going to rehydrate your body after you wake up, after your good night's sleep. Another thing that lemon is really good for is it's going to stimulate your digestion and reduce inflammation throughout the day. And by reducing inflammation, guess what? It also supports your immune system. So it is also boosting your immunity throughout the day. Who doesn't want that? And if you want the best benefit, what you want to do is you want to combine 1 cup of warm water, 1 whole cup, and make sure it's always clean, fresh, filtered water. We use a very good reverse osmosis system that adds the minerals back in. But anyways, 1 cup of warm water, half a lemon. Let's see this, right? And you would want to add about 1 tablespoon of organic cider vinegar. And to boost your immune system, to give it an extra kick, you want to add some cayenne pepper. This combination, it helps wake up your system, it increases circulation throughout your body, and prepares your body for your day. And if your goal is for deeper detoxification, especially wanting to remove toxins and heavy metals, guess what? You can add some charcoal. Charcoal binds to toxins while lemon enhances your liver detoxification. It helps detox your liver and also supports your lymphatic system, which is your way of getting rid of waste in your body, right? So important. And, but just be mindful when you're taking charcoal, if you're taking any other supplements, at the same time, it may bind to those supplements and you may not get the absorption. So if you're taking supplements, don't go with the charcoal. Now, throughout the day, consider upgrading your hydration by adding lemon juice, which I got here, to carbonated water, which is what I got here, filtered carbonated water. You hear that? A little burst. All right. A little bit of Himalayan sea salt. And this is be a great drink because it combines, trace minerals from the sea salt and is more hydrating than regular water. And the beauty of it, it tastes delicious. And for those that have that craving for soda, this might be a great alternative to sugary sports drinks. making it ideal for both a pre or post-workout hydration. Now, at night, lemon water serves a very different purpose. It can help detoxify your digestive system. It also reduces acid reflux or heartburn, where a lot of people get after a big meal. And it also supports natural elimination overnight and preparing the body for restful sleep. It's so important. Lemon helps you in so many ways. And my go-to formula for sleep is, of course, warm water again. You got half your lemon. I'm just gonna throw that other half in here now, spraying it all over my counter. And what you wanna do is you want some magnesium citrate, like what we have here, Natural Calm. Now, magnesium, it supports your nervous system and it helps relax your muscles. And this is really cool. Check this out. You get a little bit of fizz. Wow, check that out. It's fizzing right up. But it promotes regular bowel movements for the next morning. So it's a gentle, natural way to not only wind down, but also support your body's overnight healing processes. So not only do you get a better sleep, but you can be a little bit more regular in the morning, right? So organic lemons, they are a simple tool that can be used in so many ways throughout the day, not only to support your hydration, your digestion, your detoxification, and of course for better sleep and boosting the immune system. Incorporate them into your daily routine and experience how one small change can lead to powerful results. Cheers, and I'll see you next time.
Why do 98% of beauty enthusiasts rave about coolness? It's all in the blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Introducing Coolness Pearlescent Face and Eye Serum Cream. This powerhouse combines the antioxidative power of schisandra berries, the glow of pearl powder, and the hydrating wonders of dragon's blood extract. It's like a time machine for your skin, making it radiant, firm, and oh so smooth. Inspired by ancient Chinese traditions and backed by modern nutritional science, this serum cream is perfect for dry, mature, and aging skin. Say goodbye to dullness and hello to youthful radiance. And guess what? For a limited time, you get a free cooling eye cream applicator with your purchase. It's time to unlock your inner glow with coolness. So what are you waiting for? Treat your skin to the best of both worlds today.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science, at longevity, at exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life show. I'm Christy Boyd Johnson, and I would love to introduce you to our amazing guest today, Dr. Kathleen Ball. Her passion has always been researching global mythology, mystical and spiritual belief systems worldwide. Her life took a dramatic turn in 2015 after the Butte Fire in Northern California transformed her life. She had just returned from Brazil 9 days prior after discovering a previously unknown Knights Templar cave near a small town called Alto I might say this wrong because it's Portuguese, Paraiso. So it's Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese. Several weeks later, she underwent a liver transplant, making it necessary to recuperate for a year and allowing her time to contemplate her future. A second trip to Brazil resulted in a mind-blowing healing. She finds her joy in her boots-on-the-ground explorations of ancient sites and expressing her discoveries via fine art, and her documentary, The Brazilian Templars Mystery, and her most recently in her book, My Grail Quest, a discovery of a mysterious Templar cave in Brazil. Welcome, Kathleen.
Hey, Chris, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah,
It's good to see you too. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Things are great. I'm down here in our place in Santa Cruz Mountains, enjoying this beautiful weather, and getting my place, getting it all fixed up for the summer. This is our sort of vacation weekend retreat that I'm trying to get my husband to move to with me. I just love it. I absolutely adore it down here. I really just, I've always resonated with the ocean anyway. So, I love being close to the ocean.
Yeah, me too. So let's jump into the first trip to Brazil. What got you started? What got you on the track of going to this place?
Well, I had liver cancer for 4 years. I had 27 cancer tumors by that point, and contacted a girlfriend of mine, Adele Good, and she said, "Well, come over here to see John of God. I've been working on and off, with him, and I think he might be able to do a healing for you." And I thought, well, what the heck? I've never been to Brazil. I've been to a lot of other places, but I haven't been to Brazil. And so I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. So we arranged to meet in. Anyway, we ended up in Brasilia, where we connected finally, and we went up to, or she made a phone call. That's what happened. She made a phone call to Abadiânia, which is where John of God resided at the time, and he was gone. So I said, okay, well, what else can we do for a few days? And she says, well, there's this, I've heard about this area that's surrounded by sacred waterfalls, and it's supposed to be really beautiful. And I said, let's do it. So as synchronicity would have the situation go, I forgot my driver's license. She didn't know how to drive a car with a clutch. So she blew out 2 clutches on the way. And we had to each time get a vehicle replaced, right? Which made us late for our reservation at our hotel in Cavalcante. So we ended up and she didn't drive in the dark either. So we finally get up into 3.5 hours, supposed to be 3.5 hours outside of Brasilia. Took us 7. We got up there and I said, well, we need to find some other place then. What's around here? And she says, well, Moinho, this other town, San Jorge, Alto Paraíso. And I said, doesn't that mean like high paradise? She said, yes, let's go there. So I got a hotel, Pousada, right away. We got there. A couple of days later, we decided to go to one of these waterfall sites. And on our way up, the owner of the Camping Pousada, which was also there, it's a camping site, says, hey, would you ladies like to see this adjacent property next door? It's littered with crystals, Brazilian quartz crystals. And there's also a quartz crystal vein that goes through the property. We said, oh, yeah, absolutely. So, who's going to say no to that, right? So anyway, we tromp on over there, and this young man meets us over there, and we go. Of course, we're picking up crystals. I mean, there's thousands. The whole property was littered with them. And we're picking up these crystals, and he says, okay, and then we find this crystal vein, and that was about 4 or 5 kilometer trip, and it was hot. And so he says, well, I know this little cave down here. It's about another 1.5 kilometers. We can go down there and relax and get out of the sun. Have some water, refresh before we go back up, because we're straight down a hill. I mean, a mountainside. I mean, we are climbing straight down. So we said, okay. So anyway, we went in there. We went down to the area, and he lifts up the branches. And I kid you not, my mouth I didn't even know what to say. And finally, I said, oh my God, what is a Knights Templar cave doing out here in the middle of nowhere? And he rattles off this stuff in Portuguese, which I taped, on my phone. I got this little short interview, had it, translated when I got home. Well, anyway, so that just like got me. I was like, what am I going to do with this? I've got to do something with this,
Wait,
So anyway,
but I'm sorry. How did you know it was a Knights Templar cave?
well, because I had been studying the Templars for quite some time. I had been to France. I, had been through different areas in Europe, and I had seen Templar sites. And ironically, my husband and I, when we went to France for our honeymoon in 2009, I ended up on this whole little Grail quest, which I'd call a Grail quest, that involved the Templars and Mary Magdalene and the bloodline and all these things. So that really kind of jump started my research with the Templars. So I had already seen, we'd been to Amboise, we had been to this one site, Dome, France, where they held the Templars during the time that they were being persecuted from 1307 to 1312. And I had photographed all of their graffiti, their cross, all of it. Well, when I saw the exact same crosses and graffiti inside this cave in Brazil, I was, absolutely convinced that it was a Templar cave. Mm-hmm. So that led me to have to backtrack, find out where they came from. There was all these questions, I just had all these questions. How did they get there? Why were they there? What was their motivation? What was the use for the cave? I mean, just all these things came up as a result of that. And I've answered all of those questions now in this last, 10 years now. I've answered them all.
That's did you go into the cave?
Well, that was the fun part. I attempted to go into the cave. I was in it, and I was actually, my girlfriend Adele turned on the flashlight, and I realized there were spiders crawling up my legs, and there was bats in this cave. And I got out of there about a whole lot faster than I went in. Anyway, but I had quickly got a couple of shots of some of the graffiti, which, involved was the crosses and things inside there and Templar symbolism in there. I had quickly got a few shots off before I ended up back out of the cave. So, so that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, interesting is a good word. Yeah. So then what did the guide? What happened? Did the guide?
Well, the guide told me when I had the interview translated. Just so happened, again synchronistically, one of my best friend's daughter used to be married from a man that was born and raised in that area in Brazil, knew the dialect, and he translated the whole thing for me. So basically what he said is that it was a secret cave that the old women had been using for hundreds of years. They would go in to pray and do magic. That's that. He didn't know anything about the Templars, but that's what the cave was used for, is sacred. They considered it a sacred cave. So, then I come to find out when I went into Portugal, of course, when I backtracked, that yes, it was absolutely Templar. It was identified by a Knights Templar cross expert in Tomar, Portugal, when I was there in 2018. And then since then, I have discovered numerous locations all the way that date all the way back to 1040 with the exact same symbolism as what is in my cave. And I also came to find out that these symbols in there, the type of crosses, are actually, they indicate levels of initiation amongst the Templar members. So, I found out, I've really discovered a great deal about the meaning. And also the cave was used for initiation. And originally it was a gold mine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which would explain all the quartz crystal all around.
Oh, you read my mind. That's exactly the question I was going to ask.
The saying, where there's gold, there's always quartz crystal, but where there's quartz crystal, there's not always gold. But in this case, there was gold.
Oh, so then you fled from the cave from the bats and the spiders. And then what happened?
Well, so then I go back home, and 9 days later, I went to see John of God. That was a whole nother spiritual experience that was really bizarre. It turns out I had a past life experience with this man. I recognized him from an ancient time.
Did you see John of God on this trip?
Yeah, this is John of God. Yeah.
You saw him on this trip?
Yeah. Anyway, he
happened?
looked at me, he recognized me, I recognized him. 3 days later, he had a heart attack, and sometime after that, he was arrested. So, yeah, he was here to do a penance and to also give back and try to make amends for some of the things he had been involved in a previous life. And he didn't do that successfully. So that's about all I'll say about that.
But
Anyway,
what about
so
you?
after that happened, then I went back to my house. I flew back into the US and I got home, and 9 days later, my house burned to the ground. So completely destroying my entire career. I was an art professor, loved my job, loved my students, loved my faculty, loved where I worked. There was no reason for me to change careers at all. But as the universe would have it, that's not what the universe wanted me to do. So I am reeling from that and trying to get the message from the fire. And 7 weeks later, I had a liver transplant. So by this time, I had had 29 cancer tumors in my liver. So they decided these last two tumors were aggressive and they needed to take my liver out right away. So they did. And I had to, during my recuperation period for the next year, all the way into 2017, because I had the transplant at the end of 2015, I started losing hearing, really, really having a hard time. I could barely hear. The immunosuppression was doing nerve damage, and it cost me my hearing. So you're right. So by the end of 2017, I was unable to hear very much, and I was already starting thinking, well, the college called. They wanted to know if I was coming back. I'm like, I'm losing my hearing. I don't know, what I'm going to do about this. So I decided to just continue on my disability break. And during that time, I went back into Alto Paraiso. I rediscovered the cave in 2018 because I tried to go back in 2017, but they had a fire there. They had a huge fire that wiped out the whole area, all my landmarks, everything. So I had to go back in by intuition to rediscover the cave, which I did. So
okay.
I
Let's
found.
pause. Yeah. Yes. Let's pause there for a moment. We're going to take a short break, but
Okay.
I want to hear the second half of the journey because I know you have a mind-blowing thing coming up here. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back with our own Indiana Jones, Dr. Kathleen Ball.
Okay.
Ever feel like you're doing it all, but doing it alone? Running your business, supporting your family, trying to stay grounded while juggling everything. You're not the only one. You deserve a space where you can just exhale. A room where you don't have to prove anything. Because everyone already gets it. Where conversations go beyond small talk. Where stories are shared, not judged. Where new connections feel like old friends. This is that space. This is that room. This is that moment. Come refill your cup. Be seen. Be celebrated. Because when women come together, powerful things happen. Let's grow, rise, and lead together. Join us on May 17th, Women of the World Hawaii pop-up event in Honolulu. Hope to see you.
Imagine a life where every day is fueled by energy, vitality, and purpose. Where age is just a number and your best years are always ahead. Hi, I'm Andy Nam, certified functional nutrition longevity coach, best-selling author, and international speaker. After reversing my own chronic health struggles, I'm now on a mission to help you live longer, stronger, and of course to look younger. I combine biohacking, cutting-edge nutrition, and stem cell technology to unlock your body's full potential. So no matter where your starting point is, I'm going to guide you toward a chronically healthy life. Ready to reverse aging and take control of your future? Connect with me today. Your journey to longevity starts here.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. We're here with Dr. Kathleen Ball, who is telling us about the first half of her journey of discovering a previously unknown Knights Templar cave in Brazil. And now she's going back for round 2. So let's jump right in. What happened when you went back for the second time?
Well, so when I went back for the second time, the fire wiped out the whole area. So then I went back the third trip in 2018. I got a hold of the same guide I had the first time, and he took me. He took me to the area, but he didn't take me in. There was no landmarks, nothing. It was all burned. Everything was gone. So I had my photographer with me, and because I wanted to film it, I had a videographer with me. And so he's about ready to give up. It took us 3 days to find the cave. On the third day, he said, "This is it. I'm not going another step." and I got to the crystal vein, so I knew I was close. So I said, "Okay, well, you just wait here. I'm going to keep tromping through." And I happened to look over to my right, and I looked down and I went, "I found it. I found it." It was just the shadow, but I knew it was it, right? And I got down there, and it was all overgrown in that area. Anyway, I lifted up the branches again, and there was my cross. So I yelled at him. I said, "Get down here, And he said, "Oh, no, come on down. I found it." And he goes tromping down with his, all his photo equipment and everything. And we filmed the rediscovery, and that's what you see when you see the film, The Brazilian Templars Mystery. It's on Gaia, and it's also on Amazon Prime now. But anyway, so that's what you see. You don't get to see the inside of the cave, though, in the first episode. You get to see that in the second episode. It's coming out this year. The premiere will be on June 22nd in Sedona, Arizona. So anyway, so that was the second discovery. And then, that led me to Portugal, because I realized that they came from Portugal. And that led me to Tomar, Portugal, which was the headquarters of the Knights Templar all throughout the Middle Ages, up until the Inquisition came back and they made their way into Portugal, which was the last country that they were not able to get into. But anyway, they finally, crashed down those gates. They got into, so the Templars had that. That was a very different country. What the Templars did was create a template, which later became the basis for the United States of America. And I'll just briefly tell you how that happened. They created a country, a sovereign nation of all religious backgrounds, all political backgrounds, all cultural backgrounds, all ethnic backgrounds. I mean, everybody from Catholics, Christians, Jews, Cathars, Islam, Druze, Druids, they were all there, all in one country. And what their original intention was, which is the topic of my second book that I'm writing now, is they wanted to see that spread out through the world, that ideal. And they went so far as to collect all of the esoteric knowledge from the planet. They went and did this. They collected it all, and they brought it into Tomar and into France with them, and their headquarters in France as well. And they had hoped to create a renaissance, which, as we know, didn't happen until, the time of Leonardo da Vinci, 1400s. But ironically, I just found out on my last trip last year in August to France, I found out that Leonardo da Vinci's chateau was a stone's throw from a St. John's church that was a Templar church in Amboise. So I didn't know that there was a direct connection, they had a direct connection. So anyway, fast forward. So the Templars are suppressed. They go into Scotland. They create the that document. I can't think of it. It's slipping my mind right now. Anyway, the Magna Carta. Okay, the Magna Carta is later used as the base and the foundation of the United States of America. Okay, so we all know that the Masons / Templars that had become Masons later laid the foundation for the United States of America, which is huge. It's powerful. Yeah. But anyway, so I find out that, yes, indeed, the Templars had been traveling as early as, from what I can see from the iconography and the symbols in the cave, that match up to other areas, other castles and churches that were Templar in the 11th century. they could have been traveling as early as the 11th or 12th century. And the reason I say this is because after excavating in the Holy Land, which is what they did under the Temple Mount, what they came away with, according to the Grand Master of the Knights Templar, who has also talks about this, they came away with the Phoenician maps, navigation, boat building skills, and all these things that no one else in Europe had. And as we do know, that is a historical fact, the Portuguese were the first boat builders. They were the first travelers on the seas during medieval times. So we just don't know in our current historical record that they traveled as early as they did. That was the only thing that was missing.
So back to your journey. this second trip into Brazil, you found the cave again, but something really astounding happened with you.
Oh boy, yeah, boy did it. So
Yeah.
I told you about the hearing loss, and so in 2019, my hearing got so bad that I had to get a cochlear implant, which I have. And if I take this off, I'm deaf. But what happened was the anti-rejection meds was also causing kidney damage, and I was like, okay, so I had been praying, and I had told my doctors, and I had been working spiritually with the people, with the man that gave me this liver, that donated the liver, on the spiritual realm, the spiritual plane, to make this liver my own. Well, there was an issue with his wife because her religious beliefs, she believed he needed to be buried with all his body parts. So that took some doing to get through to her to let go of her husband and his body parts. When that finally happened, it just so happened that I was back in Brazil in 2021, and I was interviewing the Kalunga people to establish the dating and the fact that the cave was already there when they got there in the 1400s. The Kalunga are runaway slaves, right? They hid in these caves that were already there. Okay, and then I was invited to do an interview with the Amazonian tribes that come into Alto Paraíso every year, right, and have been for centuries, which is how the Templars got to Alto Paraíso to begin with, was the Amazonian tribes. So I was invited to interview them and get this backstory. Well, because of COVID, they didn't come into Alto Paraíso, but I was invited into the Amazon jungle. So I had a photographer that came with me. I hired a translator, and I hired a guide. And we were invited into the tribe. We were the first, Western people, the first Caucasian people. We were the first outsiders invited into this little tribe, right? The Hunniquin people. And so we hop on a plane. I mean, it was just wild. It was really wild. I had 3 days to put all this together. We get down there, and we're greeted by this chief. And I knew I had a connection with him immediately. I just didn't say anything. I waited till he said something first. I always do that. I never approach the person when I realize. And sure enough, he had recognized me from a past life. And he said, again, I had been waiting for you. So to get the word out about our people. And so I told him, I would include him in the film. And I wanted to do an interview with him about the Templars and their part. Turned out it wasn't their tribe that brought the Templars in. It was another tribe. But still, I got the story. At least I got the story. And then he said, is there anything I can do for you? And I said, yes. I would like the final piece in this healing. I want to get off these anti-rejection meds. And if anybody knows Western medicine, they will tell you that if you get off these meds, you will die. Well, that's not true. I mean, it's difficult. It's not easy. You have to really be in tune with yourself to do this process. But I was invited into one of their ceremonies, and all I can say is I was just enveloped with love, and the purest love. I can't even describe it. And I knew instinctively that I knew I was cured. So on faith, I didn't take any more anti-rejection meds. I had stopped taking them the day before. And I've never had to take another one, and that's been almost 4 years.
So complete healing. Your liver became your own.
It's my liver, yeah.
Yes. And so did you, when you came back, did you like totally freak out your doctors?
Well, no, I honored my doctor because, I had transferred to this other hospital, and I really connected with this doctor, and he really cared. And so I said, okay, you're going to think I'm nuts, but this is what happened. He says, okay, well, I don't really like this, but we'll test you once a week. And it came back, my liver kept, enzymes and everything kept looking better and better. ALTs, ASTs, everything were getting better. Finally, after about 3 or 4 months, he says, okay, we can go to 6 months now. And after about a year and a half, he said, you did it. You did it. I don't know how you did it. You're the first patient I've ever had that's done it, but you did it.
And what about your kidneys? Getting off the anti-rejection meds fixed your kidney problem?
Well, it did until I got COVID in later. Let's see, when was it? 2019 later, or not long after that, I did get COVID when I went in on my way back from Portugal. But now I've managed to work through all those issues as well. So, yeah.
And how did it change your life in the sense of like how you view things, how you react to things, how you handle things? Because that's an insanely life changing event.
You have to step out of the box and realize that we live in a matrix. That's what you first of all have to face. We live in a matrix. Everything that's going on around you right now, everything is a show. It's a show for you to entertain you and keep you within the matrix. And when you start to step out and peek out, well, see, I had a near-death experience in 1990. So I was already aware of other realities. I was already having a lot of spiritual experiences, unexplained things. So it was a little easier for me to step out of that box. And I've found in my life, no matter what the challenge is, that there is a solution. There is always a solution for everything that happens in your life. Yes. And as long as you're willing to step up to the plate and be patient and wait for it, it will happen. Yeah. So I didn't know I was going to come into that experience in the Amazon giants. I said, I was there to interview the chief. Period. Yeah. Right?
That's amazing. Well, what happened with
this is also what's interesting is also this is one of the definitions of a Grail quest. If you read the story about Percival, right? The healing that happens at the end of the Grail quest, right? So this is also and I have a TikTok page, as a matter of fact, called The Grail Quest. And I talk about how you step out into a Grail quest, because I think that's what it's about. Everyone has a Grail quest. Your life is a Grail quest, but you have to be willing to embrace your destiny. You have to be willing to step out. And as Andy mentioned earlier, you have to find what it is that you love, the passion that you feel inside for whatever it is, and allow that to guide you. You have to allow that to get you out onto that path. And once you step out on the path, the synchronicities are unmistakable. I mean, I have had things that have happened. I've had nuns tell me they were waiting for me for years. They learned English, so that when I came 20 years later, they could speak to me. I've had shamans pull me over and tell me they've been waiting for me to give me a message. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, my life is so amazing. I mean, it's really amazing. And I wouldn't trade my life with anybody on the planet. And my early life was not easy. So for me to get to this point where I love and embrace life to this extent is a really big deal.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've heard this phrase that some people are raised and other people are forged. And if you're a forged person, you're a forged person. So, yeah. Well, what happened with your near-death experience? What in the 90s? What was that about?
Yeah, that was March 10th of 1990. And my life, okay, my parents divorced when I was 11, and my mother has a mental illness. And so it was very difficult for me to stay in that home. My father remarried immediately. I wasn't welcome in either home. So I ended up having to find my own way when I was about 13. And by the time I was 15, I got married to someone so that I could emancipate myself and get out of this, this insanity. So I did that. And then I left my husband soon after that. By the time I was 16, I moved down to Southern California by myself, and I began my new life. Right. And, life was extremely difficult. I didn't make good choices because I was too young to be making decisions that I was forced to make. And so fast forward in when I turned 33, by the time my first husband was murdered, my second husband, that was just a disaster. But I had 3 children by this time, and I moved up to the mountains, and I just gave up. I just gave up because then I just actually was so disillusioned with the world and war. I felt this pain so deeply that I just couldn't be here anymore. I just thought I didn't know how to do this world. I didn't know how to function in this world. I couldn't stand the pain of this world anymore. So I kind of manipulated my best girlfriend into signing papers that she would take care of my children if anything happened to me, not telling her what I was planning to do. And I didn't believe in suicide because I just don't believe in suicide. So I laid down and I asked God to take my life, and my heart stopped and I stopped breathing. And I went into a near-death experience. And my husband, who wasn't my husband at the time, but he came in trying to shake me in the morning, finally. And I don't know how long this near-death experience lasted, but I was not breathing and my heart was not pumping. So when I finally came back into my body, all I wanted to do was participate in bringing about what I saw in my near-death experience. And what I saw was an incredibly beautiful world that we are going to co-create on this planet. Heaven on earth. I mean, I'm not kidding you.
I believe you.
I don't know how far it is in the future, but I do know, and I made a commitment during that near death that I would participate in whatever way I could to bring that about. And
I hate to cut you off, Kathleen, because this is an insanely incredible story, but how can people find you?
so they can find me on Facebook, Kathleen Ann Ball, or they can find me the Templars in Brazil on Facebook. They can also find me on my website, which is www.templarsinbrazil.com. You can find me on TikTok, the Grail Quest. You can find me on what else?
The QR code
Instagram, Kathleen Ann Ball, or the Templars in Brazil, and Facebook already talked about. Instagram, yeah.
QR code goes to your website.
Social media, either under the Templars in Brazil. I also have a YouTube channel, the Grail Quest. So you'll get to see, I talk specifically about every stage of the Grail Quest.
Okay. Thank you. I hate cutting you off. I would love to hear more, but we're out of time. So thank you so much for being our guest today, Kathleen. I really have enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody stay tuned.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll be right back after this.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Kids Corner. I got to thinking about spring cleaning and how much I look forward to spring cleaning after winter. The house has been closed up. It's been a little chilly. Now it's starting to get warm. You want to open up the windows, get some air in, and you get that feeling of just, I have to get through. I just want to clean this out. Well, there's actually that is such a positive thing to do, not only for the cleaning, the actual, cleaning everything, but also for the cleaning out of things that no longer serve you or you don't use. For example, you can donate clothes to charities. You can donate old luggage that you're not using anymore to foster care programs. I've heard that that is a really important thing to give the kids get a little luggage. And another thing is old sheets, towels, and blankets and pillows. Donate to local animal shelters because they're always in need of things like that. Then you've cleaned out, you feel great, energetic, you have new energy coming into the house. It's nice and clean, and you have done some really big, wonderful kindnesses in the world. It feels so great, and it's perfect to set the new energy for spring. So go forth and clean. I know I am. And have fun with it, and get the kids involved because it's fun. You can make it fun. Play games. Okay, bye.
Welcome to a reimagined world where kids can't wait to go to school, beg for books to read, math is an exciting game, and teachers get to love teaching again. Meet Christy Boyd Johnson. She's been in the trenches and emerged with the keys to making education a fun, free, and inspiring experience. Email her at barefootlearningclub@gmail.com and chat with her one-on-one. Her philosophy? Foundation plus imagination equals genius.
Hi, I'd like to personally invite you incredible women, to an event that's happening on May 17th in Hawaii. Women of the World Networking Event. This isn't just another networking event. It's a space for women, leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals to connect, learn, and grow together. Whether you want to expand your business, step onto the stage as a speaker, or showcase your business and your brand, there's an opportunity for you if you're ready to take your connections to the next level. Join us on May 17th, and I'll see you there.
Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life show. That was an amazing interview with Kathleen.
Now, talking about journey, that is some journey.
She had multiple people's journey.
That's like a trilogy. It's not just a movie.
And it sounds like the story is still going. The story's still going. That is amazing. I think it'll be great to have her back to the show to tell us a little bit more. Because,
the story's still going on.
She mentioned the story only shows the entrance of the tunnel, but you don't actually get to see inside until the second movie. So that's definitely something that we're very excited to watch. And I got to tell you, to be off anti-rejection drugs, that is a miracle in itself.
Yeah, that is unheard of.
I'm definitely going to have to reach out to you, Kathleen, on that, because my brother's recently had a kidney transplant, and the anti-rejection drugs is just destroying everything in his body. So I'd love to hear a little bit more on how you managed to do that. But yeah, that is a medical miracle.
For sure.
Unheard of. But thank you so much for joining us for the show. Next week, we have Cecile Raynor. And if you missed any episodes of our show, make sure you can catch past episodes at e360tv.com and the Vitality TV network, or of course on our YouTube channel at Chronically Healthy Life. And you can join us here every Friday for a new episode at 7 p.m. CST.
And if you want to know what we do, just contact us at, what is our email? Anything at chronicallyhealthylife.com.
And make sure, to download my book, Longevity is a New L Word, where we give you strategies to reverse chronic conditions and even reverse your age. And, maybe some of these tips is what Kathleen did, because she looks amazing. Thank you for being a guest for our show today, Kathleen. And we'll see everyone next week.
See you next week.